guys, welcome back. My name is Liz. If you haven't been here before, welcome. I talk about FBA related topics every week, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. I also do have a full website full of a bunch of free resources for you as an FBA seller, a bunch of tools and stuff like that. Plus I have a bunch of articles about experiences I've been through, things I've learned along the way, so go check that out after this. It will be linked in the description box below. Especially if you are looking for like coaching or someone to help you out with your PPC and your campaigns, I'd be happy to help you out. So definitely go to the description box below if you are looking for more information on that. But today we are going to talk about what I would do differently if I started my whole FBA business over. Whew. There's a lot. You guys, I am not gonna lie, I have always been very transparent about this here on this channel. I have made a lot of mistakes, and I think the majority of sellers have, but there is a huge amount of sellers who join Amazon to become sellers and sell some products, and then they drop off after the first year. And I think that's because there is not enough support within the community talking about our failures. It is okay to fail, and with every business, most businesses fail at least a few times before they get it right and kind of get a handle on everything. That is totally normal. And you are not alone, because I have made some stupid mistakes. But I wanted to share some of those with you guys. So maybe if you are a new seller or if you are looking into another product, you can kind of take my mistakes and learn with them. So, you know, anything helps at the end of the day. These are things I wish I would have learned or worked on harder before I started my FBA business. So if you want to see more, stay tuned. We're going to hop right in. Okay, lesson one that I learned from is not educating myself enough. So when I was first learning about the FBA business model, I watched a lot of success stories, a lot of people ranting and raving about how much money they made. I didn't watch a lot of software videos, and I didn't watch a lot of videos about people telling, you know, talking about the defects of the FBA business and the downfalls. So what I would recommend is kind of getting an overview of all of that. You know, it is great to stay positive and motivated, but if that is all that you're receiving, then that's not realistic. You are gonna have downfalls. It's gonna be hard at the beginning. You might lose a little bit more money before you make more money, but you know, you have to have a wide variety of knowledge coming into you, or else you are gonna be completely disappointed and fall off of it and be like, nope, I'm done with this. So in this aspect, my best piece of advice for you guys is to find a software that you love and learn it super well before you even look at a product. So let's say you love Helium 10, and that's what I would hands down recommend to anyone who starts an FBA business is Helium 10, because it has so many capabilities and softwares inside of the package that you get. It's my favorite, but that is completely off topic. But if you do want a discount, they will be linked in the description box below. But let's say that you were going to invest in Helium 10. So what you would want to do is you wanted to take like maybe a product that you were looking at or a product in that market or category, and you want to start playing around with it. You want to start creating spreadsheets with it, analyzing the metrics, looking at everything, seeing how everything works in conjunction with each other. That's how you really understand how to analyze your business, if it's successful or if it's not. You have to understand all the working pieces of PPC and everything like that. So not educating myself, being filtered out with all the success stories, all of the, you know, the huge money maker sellers, that is not a realistic aspect of it. There are a lot of people, you know, making a really great living or doing it as a side hustle, but the people who are making millions of dollars, that is not the everyday FBA seller. So just keep that in the back of your head. Watch videos from all aspects, all different people, so you get a wide range of advice and different opinions on the subject. Lesson number 2 is settling for mediocre. So when I first started my business, I didn't really know what was up to par type products. It was my first time ever launching, well, it wasn't my first time launching a product. It was my first time launching a product online on Amazon. So I wasn't familiar working with a graphic designer or a packaging designer, so I didn't know really how innovative it could get. And it gets a lot more innovative than you think, you guys. So I settled on a really low quality box packaging with a really low quality graphic design that I could have made myself. Looking back at it, I'm like, girl, you could have done so much better. She probably just overlapped whatever I sent her and put it together. But now that I have a little bit more graphic design background, I understand that you can get really creative and make your product stand out so much. So like with my first product, I wasn't totally sold on the packaging design. I was sold on the product. The product was amazing. I loved it. Innovative, creative, wonderful product. But the packaging was subpar at most. Like it was something that, you know, a D- graphic designer could do. But I didn't really know. I felt like I was on a tight deadline. I had already spent months sourcing the product, you know, working on that with my supplier. So I was like, packaging is the last thing until we can get it to Amazon. And I just settled. And I think that is a huge problem with a lot of sellers. I myself feel like I have like a timeline in my head that's not real. It's not a certain day I have to get anything out by, but it's like a timeline I set for myself, like I gotta get it out by this date, or I like, you know, we have to be finished with it. That is just like, I think the controlling nature in myself. But the problem with that is I settle a lot when I do that. So I have done this with 2 of my products. So another product, I spent a lot of money on the product itself. So it was a lot of working pieces together that I had to, you know, negotiate for months, you guys. It took so long. I had to go through so many suppliers. I went through one for like 2 months, and then last minute we couldn't agree on a price, so I had to start all the way over. It was so disheartening. So by the end, I was like, we're cutting costs and we're just doing a poly bag like everyone else. Horrible mistake. Never just do a poly bag. Like, never. Like, it costs like 2 cents more to make it like beautiful and nice looking, or at the very least professional. So don't settle on just like a clear poly bag. Don't do it. But that's what I did, and you guys, it wasn't cute. Like when customers would take pictures, they would like include in the poly bag that looked kind of funky. So after the majority of that product was sold out, I completely revamped all the packaging. I did that with 2 of my products, so the first and the second. I completely revamped the packaging. I made it more condensed. I made it beautiful. I spent a lot more money on a a packaging designer to make sure it looked bomb, and it increased my sales so much. So overall, what I would say is like, you know, don't keep these timelines in your head. Focus on the here and now, and you know, like what is being presented in front of you. Run it by a few people, like close friends, family. Say like, is this something that like intrigues you, or is there a better way to market this? Like, what would make it stand out more? Just like make sure it is a really good product when you're putting it out. Okay, lesson number 3 is not collaborating with enough other sellers. So what I mean by that is like when you are in Facebook groups, Facebook is the main place where most FBA sellers go. So if you haven't joined any FBA Facebook groups, you got to get on it because it's full of interaction and people being helpful and some assholes. But overall, the community is really great. There are a lot of very helpful people. So anytime you have a question that you are not sure about, post it on these Facebook groups. You will get immediate responses, and they will for like 90% of the time be very helpful. There's a few bad people out there who are rude and opinionated, but for the most part, it is really lovely, amazing people. So anytime you have a question and you can't really find it on like Seller Central forums or anything like that, post it on it Facebook group and you will get a lot of responses or a lot of like opinions, personal experiences. But that kind of goes into my suggestion number 3. You need to be communicative with other sellers. So if you are looking at starting a new product, you need to have like kind of a rally around you, some other more experienced sellers who kind of have a gauge in the market. So let's say you are hopping into a completely different market. You want to have a set of FBA sellers who have already been there, done that. They kind of know if it's a lucrative market or if it's saturated. You want to make sure that you have some people in your corner. So make sure you start making friends, introduce yourself to new people. So the best way to reach out to FBA sellers is just to message them and be friendly and thankful. So you could just say, hey, I saw you post here and here. You offer some really great content. If I ever have a question, would you mind if I asked you about it? This is kind of what market I'm looking into. I'm a brand new seller. I only have this and this much experience, just introduce yourself so they know who you are. And so when you actually do ask a question, it doesn't come off as like aggressive. It comes off in more of a friendly tone, and they'll be able to offer you more advice and more willing to offer you advice. I think the best way for you to reach out to someone is to just be friendly, introduce yourself, say, hey, I'm new. I would love any advice that you could give me, blah, 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 and just take it from there. People are more than willing to help, and you just have to approach them correctly instead of like asking a ton of questions and, not really getting to know them, just bombarding them with questions. No one wants that. So make sure you are respectful, nice, and people will obviously help you out with anything. The thing is, like, people say, like, don't share your secret product that you're looking at buying. Don't worry about that, you guys. That's the thing is, like, if you trust some of these other people in these groups, so you might have one mentor that you talk to a lot, don't worry about them like stealing your product. The off chance that they do, like, I think it's so very slim. First of all, a lot of FBA sellers already have a bunch going on. They're trying to build a product line. They're more worried about their products. And sometimes people just don't have that money to like actually steal your product. But like, I wouldn't worry about that. I feel like their morals kick into place. That's just me. I would never steal anyone's product, and I haven't because I've worked on like 300 different people's products. So never stole them. And I never would, because that is just against my moral compass, and I'm a big karma believer. But I wouldn't be too uptight about people stealing your product, because at the end of the day, people have a lot going on in their own life. Don't worry about it. Okay, lesson number 4, a big one, understanding your profit margins. A lot of people do not know their margins. Like I've said before on Shark Tank, when all of the sharks ask them, what are your profit margins? And they're like, they have no idea. And it's hard to calculate. Like, I understand that. It is hard to calculate when you start, factoring advertising, any external advertising as well. Like, it all becomes very difficult to calculate. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you are trying to stay below your means. So the best way to stay below your means is by having a bigger profit margin. So the rule of thumb 2 years ago when I started my first FBA business was that you want to achieve about a 30% profit margin. And that is a big wad of crack, because it needs to be closer to 50 or 60%. When you are starting your FBA business, it is a brand new company that is just launching onto Amazon. And so it's going to take a lot of advertising, a lot of money to bump it up even closer to page 1. So with the new product, there is very low social proof. So very few people have purchased it. There are very few reviews. So people kind of click in, they look at it, they're like, it's not seeming super legit. They click out. So then you waste that PPC you spend, the pay-per-click. And so that is much more prevalent at the beginning. So you spend a lot more money on advertising. So if you are only getting about a 30% profit margin, that means that's all you have for your advertising budget is about 30%. So to make sure this is more safeguard, you want to have a higher profit margin just to make sure that you can, at least make a break-even amount so that you can reorder, keep your rank up, and you have that built-up advertising already. So that is all that means. Anyone who is telling you that you need a 20 or 30% profit margin, No, you need like 50 or 60. I wouldn't settle for anything less because you will end up screwing yourself over. You're going to end up spending a lot more on advertising. And so make sure you are doing it correctly by finding a real legitimate product that you can profit off of. If you guys are struggling with kind of understanding this and finding a profitable product, I would be happy to help you. I do offer coaching services, so you can contact me at ebizwithliz@gmail.com and I will get back to you. I don't prolong my coaching services because I know you guys do not want to pay these monthly fees. I try and fit it in and make it as structured as possible so we move quickly and efficiently, but we move properly. So we are not cutting corners or anything. So I make sure that you guys are getting the most bang for your buck. And I'm pushing my clients through. I want you guys to grow and succeed on your own. But if you are interested in coaching, you can check it out in the description box below, ebizwithliz@gmail.com. But lesson 5, my final lesson, is buying too much product. Oh my God. Whoever told you that 500 units was the minimum, off with her head. I'm kidding. No. You can buy 10 units, or you can buy 500, or you can buy 1,000. Every different supplier is going to have a different minimum order quantity. So if it is a well-established supplier, maybe working with huge brands, they might have a higher minimum order quantity than a less established brand. Is their quality different? You don't know yet until you order samples. So the reason that these more established suppliers will not work with smaller companies is because they know it takes a smaller company a lot more to get off their feet. You have to have a few reorders until you can feel confident that these people are going to be around for a while. So they set their MOQ to much higher to weed out those smaller companies. So let's say you're on a budget and you cannot order that much. That is fine. There is no universal MOQ. Some suppliers might say that, the MOQ is 100, but if you talk to them, they might say, we can work with you. You just have to ask. There is no problem in ordering less. No one is going to think of you less. You are just being wiser, and work for yourself. Don't follow these guidelines, 500 MOQ, 1,000 MOQ, because that's what I did, and that was a huge mistake. With my second product, like I said earlier, it was very expensive to get the actual product because there was a lot of working pieces. And so I cut money on that packaging because I was ordering a certain MOQ that I thought I had to kind of abide by. If I would have kept working with my supplier, I would have found that, I could have ordered a lot less, saved a little money, and saved a little risk. And I would have been able to invest more on packaging and felt more comfortable with the whole product as a whole. If you only feel comfortable with ordering 100, and I honestly think ordering 100 to 200 units and testing it out is much better than ordering 500 or 1,000 units and testing it out. Because a lot of people find that, especially with their first product, ordering 500 units takes almost half a year to sell, and they are struggling. So if you are only ordering 100, you can cut your losses. It's less expensive, there's less risk, and you learn a lot along the way. All right, you guys, those were the 5 lessons that I wish someone would have taught me during the beginning phases of my FBA business. I absolutely love the business model. I still recommend it to everyone who wants to open up some type of e-commerce store. FBA is the way to go, hands down, it's the way to go. But it is also a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of learning. It's a huge learning curve. So don't beat yourself up if your first or second product didn't go the way you want to. It is a learning curve, but you have to take the time to educate yourself. You have to take the time to research things. You can't be lazy about it. You can't just throw a product out there and hope for the best. You have to be educating yourself daily. So make sure you are doing that. But hopefully this offers you some guidance and some suggestions. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up so I know you enjoy this type of content. Other than that, hit the subscribe button or share this with a fellow FBAer. And I will see you guys in next week's video. I hope you guys have an awesome week, guys. Bye.